Brother Kyle, Brother Wayne, Brother David, thank you all so much. Honestly, I'm humbled to be a part of Abolish Abortion, North Carolina. I'm kind of new to this. I feel like I've been on the fight of abolition kind of from the sidelines for the last decade or so. My name is Matthew Tarpley. I pastor a church out in a little town called Lake Waccamaw, North Carolina. Any of you ever heard of that out there? Oh my goodness, over here. I know you. Okay, anyway. Well, y'all, I'm glad to be here. It's an honor to be here. I want you to know that if you're new to this fight, I want you to know that I'm kind of in the boat with you. I already feel the conviction and the sting of the Lord calling me to deeper action. And so I pray that all of us at the end of this conference, I think there's about 80 people or so registered for this thing, the Lord's going to have 80 people who are uncompromisingly sold out for the cause of abolition in our state. Let's do it. My church was part of the Southern Baptist Convention up until, what was it, Sarah, about a month ago? Anyway, after the last two conventions, for those of you who don't know, the Southern Baptist Convention, you have a local county association, you have a state convention, and then you have a national convention. My local church just pulled out of the national convention, although we're still heavily active in our county and in our state. Y'all, whenever you say yes to the Lord, He takes you on a wild ride. Can any of you say amen to that? I was just a worship leader out in Dallas, Texas, and I was a street preacher as well. I'd go out on the streets of Dallas about once a week with the megaphone, with some gospel tracts and a box full of Bibles. We'd preach the gospel, we'd hand out Bibles, and we'd try to win people to the Lord. And I came across a group called Abolish Human Abortion while I was out there. And it was through street work. Somebody handed me a flyer at an event, and I said, this looks like it's something right up my alley. And they took me to the local mill, surrounded by churches out there. Those churches weren't doing anything, but we decided we were going to contend for the truth. That's how I got involved in this movement whenever I was around the age of 20 or so, and I've kind of been involved with it ever since. When you say yes to the Lord, He puts you with some people that you need to be involved with. The Lord took me around the world as a missionary for a little over a year. And after that, He brought me out to North Carolina, and I've been a pastor for almost 3 years now. By God's grace, He's put me on the board of my county association and my state convention. And I ask for you to pray for me as I contend for abolition in those areas of influence. The most recent interaction that you have there on your handout is my recent interactions with the ERLC. How many of you know what that is? That's the Ethics and Religious Liberty Commission of the Southern Baptist Convention. These are the people who've been hired by Southern Baptists, the largest Protestant denomination in America and thus in the world, to talk to us about religious issues in the civil realm, to talk about ethical issues in the nation. Recently, the old president, Russell Moore, stepped down, and a new man was the sitting president. His name was Brent Leatherwood. He's now the president. And something happened over a bill in Louisiana. Brother David and Wayne could tell you more of the exact details regarding this bill. I'm just going to give you a quick flyover. An abolition bill was brought to the table in Louisiana, and it was going to win. They had the majority out there. And if it was allowed to run its course, abortion was about to be outlawed as murder in Louisiana. Who do you think resisted it? It's the pro-life movement. And it was the leaders of the Ethics and Religious Liberty Commission of the Southern Baptist Convention. This man, this shameful, coward disgrace, Brent Leatherwood, signed his name to a public letter for pro-life Republicans not to support abolition bills. And they won. They broke the majority, and now abolition has essentially lost for now in Louisiana. And so there was quite a firestorm over that. Not as big of a firestorm as it should have been, but I called my trustee for the state of North Carolina to the ERLC, and I said, that man needs to be taken off of his position. He needs to be removed right now. Little did I know that that trustee was also compromised, saying that the woman who has an abortion is nothing more than a victim, and I'm looking forward to that talk that refutes some of those arguments later today. But I don't know how it is, I guess just in the SBC, the way it works is that if a trustee sends a letter over to a sitting president and it says, so-and-so pastor and board member of the Baptist State Convention of North Carolina has this complaint, I guess those guys feel like they need to call up that person, try to wine and dine them and win them over to their position. And so that's exactly what happened. Brent Leatherwood called me. And I mean, whenever I first answered the phone, I was kind of saying, sir, I don't really know what you want me to say to you. I've already said everything that I have to say to you, to our trustee. But I ended up having a 40-minute phone call with him. I mean, hats off to him for calling me. But y'all, the way that I've learned things work in the Southern Baptist Convention, especially with these guys in their higher positions, they will call you and they will just try to sweet talk you to say, well, I hear your complaints. Thank you so much for voicing your concerns. And then they do nothing about it, right? I had enough conversations with those higher-ups at that moment to know what was going down on this phone call. And I'm just going to be honest, I've had enough at that point. So I might not have been as nice as I should have been. And we talked through these things. And I said, sir, do you agree that abortion is a sin? A hell-deserving sin? He said, well, yes, absolutely. You mean a sin for the woman? And then the dance started. Beating around the bush, moving the goalposts, right? It's a sin for the doctor. It's a sin for the industry. But that woman, she's like the woman at the well, don't you know? That woman, she's like the woman caught in adultery, don't you know? She doesn't deserve hell for that abortion. She deserves grace. Friends, grace isn't grace if you deserve it. The whole point of grace is that we don't deserve it. If you say that you deserve this thing, you're cutting that person off from their ultimate redemption. And we talked through it at that point. If it's not a sin, then why should it be a crime in the eyes of a state? And that was the end conclusion from his perspective. This woman has committed no sin in the eyes of God, and therefore she has committed no crime in the eyes of the state. And so they worked to stop the abolition bill in Louisiana. And so I just want to echo what Jeff Durbin said on his podcast. I believe every child that dies in Louisiana, their blood is on the hands of the ERLC and the Southern Baptist Convention until the day that God ends the slaughter that's going on there. Brothers and sisters, I'm still active in my state convention. I'm still active in my county association. I ask that you pray for me as we work to get abolition resolutions in these denominations. I ask that you pray for me as we work to make the norm a mindset of abolition and not merely pro-life regulation. Amen? Amen. Thank you all.